Good morning, darlacansell from Santa. I am a real estate agent with Real Broker. So if you are anywhere in South and you're looking for a realtor who loves everything real estate, I love working with sellers just as much as I love working with buyers. And listen, I need to figure out a way to count up the number of transactions. I have been blessed enough to help probably about at least 350 families since I got into real estate in February of 2019, and I tell you, it feels like yesterday. But my God, I was in education before I got into real estate, and I love learning new things. And the thing I love the most about real estate is there is something to be learned literally every day. Every day is a new problem to solve, because every day in real estate involves working with different people. And that's other realtors, that's appraisers, that's inspectors, that's lenders, that's all the people. And guys, there's a lot of different personalities out there, and trying to figure out how to get a deal not just under contract but all the way to the closing table is two different things. Getting something under contract is easy, but getting it all the way to the closing table is a whole different ballgame. And you want to make sure that if you're the buyer or the seller, you have someone on your team who is great at negotiating, who loves solving problems, and who doesn't mind when hiccups come along. Because I guarantee you, if you're a buyer or a seller, there will be hiccups along the way, and you need a realtor on your side who has been there, done that. I tell you what, so I'm going to give you an example of a deal that absolutely could have easily gone south, and this one just happened recently. Then I'm going to give you some other examples. If you don't have a realtor on your side who has your absolute best interest at heart, you need to find someone different. You need a realtor on your side who doesn't mind sometimes hurting the feelings of the other side to get you what you need. So I guarantee you, if I'm your representative for you as a buyer or for you as a seller, you are going to be my number one concern, always. And so I'll give you an example. We had a land deal. I represented the sellers. It went under contract back in July. The buyer was represented by another realtor, and in the land contract, their realtor put 10 days for due diligence, okay? So remember this, in any contract that you signed, whether you're signing it from the buy side or the sell side, there is a paragraph in that contract that gives you what's called due diligence. And that is your time to walk away, cancel the contract, no questions asked, for no reason whatsoever, and get your deposit back if you put a deposit down. Okay, now remember this, in the state of Louisiana, a deposit is not mandatory, it's not required, and so know that also. But anyway, this particular contract went under contract back in early July. I represented the sellers. The buyer in his contract had 10 days of due diligence on that land, which means during those 10 days, the buyer could walk away for any reason at all, okay? Or no reason. Just cancel the contract. If he had a deposit, get his deposit back, be done with that, and I would have then put it back on the market, and we would have listed it. It would have been up for sale again, all right? So remember this, it went into contract back in early July. We were set to close yesterday. So this past Friday, the Friday before the Monday of closing, I receive a call from the agent that says my client, due to personal reasons, and I'm not going to go into all the personal reasons, is canceling the contract. Okay? So my first instinct is to say, okay, and so when did his due diligence end? And she says, well, way back in early July. Yes, that's right. So does your client know that he signed a legally binding document? That means if he cancels the contract, because now he's long out of his due diligence period, the sellers can sue him. The sellers absolutely have the right to sue your client, and they have every reason to do so, because your client cannot cancel the contract when he's out of his due diligence period. She says to me, I have told him that. He understands that, okay? Well, listen, a lot of realtors, I have a feeling, would have just felt sorry for the other side, would have called up the sellers and said, listen, the buyer's agent is sending a cancellation. I'm going to send it over for y'all to sign and be done with that, and we would have put it back on the market. Y'all, that would have been the easy thing to do, right? Because listen, when you're representing sellers in an area where you live, work, right? I live and work over here. I didn't personally know the buyer. He was represented by another realtor. But listen, everybody knows everybody, right? Literally everybody knows everybody. And so I knew that if I said to that realtor, the sellers are not agreeing to cancel the contract, and the sellers will sue your client if he doesn't go forth with the purchase of the land that he agreed to purchase. No, we know, and I know, right? That is a tough situation to be in, because I know that that person probably knows people who knows me, who knows my family, who knows my friends, who knows me, and it makes me look like the bad guy, right? It makes me look like the bad guy. Although I'm not the bad guy, because that person signed a legally binding contract. He had the right during the first 10 days to cancel it, no questions asked. So remember this. This is my point. If you are the buyer or if you are the seller, make sure that you understand what you're signing. If you sign a contract, you are legally bound to the terms of the contract. So before you sign it, make sure you understand what you're signing, all right? And I would say, if you're buying a piece of land and you are not for sure that you actually want to buy the land, then put yourself plenty of due diligence days in that contract. There are many of agents out there that just simply put the same day every time. It's 7 days or it's 10 days, whatever. It's just easy to just put the same days over and over again. But the fact of the matter is, the contract is your contract. It is absolutely up to you to decide what do you agree to. So in that contract, it's a Louisiana contract. It's a template, right? There are plenty of blanks and plenty of places for additional terms and conditions for you to make sure that anything that that realtor puts in that contract, in those blanks, you agree to it. Because you are the person, if you're the buyer, that can get sued if you decide to breach the contract. So make sure you understand it. I'm going to give you another example. A couple of months ago, I have another listing. And I always say to my people when I'm listing properties or houses, especially houses, okay? The good thing about listing your home with me is I am going to screen any potential buyers before they step foot on your property. So they're not going to step foot on the property. If they call me to go show your house, the number one question is going to be, are you pre-approved? And if so, send me a copy of your pre-approval letter. Are you paying cash? If so, I need a copy of proof of funds. So in other words, all the nosy people that just want to go walk through your house because they think maybe they can buy it, that's not happening. Because that's not fair to the seller to have to get your house perfect for a showing. Because you know, as a seller, when a buyer walks through your house, you want to show your best face, right? The best looking house. And we don't live in houses that are show ready. That's awful. That is not a fun situation to be in. So if I represent you as the seller, you know that you are going to have a screening process before anybody steps through your house, okay? And so, okay, that's one thing to remember. The other thing, so I have a listing a couple of months ago. We get an offer from a guy who I knew where he lived, and we get an offer that he wants to buy this house that's listed for sale. And so I say to the agent that's representing this buyer, is your client's house that he has to sell to buy this house, is it on the market? Is it listed? And she says to me, no, it's not on the market, it's not listed. Well, listen, if you have a house for sale, okay, and in order to buy another house, you have to sell your house, the likelihood of a seller accepting your offer contingent on the sale of your house, and your house isn't even on the market yet, listen, that wouldn't be very smart of me as I represent the seller to accept an offer on a house when it's contingent on the sale of another house and the other house hasn't even hit the market yet, okay? So listen, make sure that when you are thinking about buying or selling, you have a realtor on your side who has good common sense, okay? Good common sense, which means that if you want to buy a house and it's contingent on the sale of your house needs to be on the market, it needs to be being marketed, and the best case scenario is it's under contract, and that you know that you have your house under contract, which means when yours closes, you can buy the other house. That's called a contingent offer. So those are just a few stories. Listen, it's always a problem-solving situation. There's always a scenario. There's always a story. Y'all most of the time see the happy things. You see when something goes pending, that's happy, right? You see when people are going through inspection periods, it means they're getting closer to closing, that's happy. You see when we close on a deal, that's happy. What you don't see is the buyer and the seller is all the things that are going on in the background that could potentially prevent something from closing. So back to that story with the land. We closed yesterday. We absolutely closed yesterday. But if those clients, those sellers had a realtor on their side that just felt so sorry for the other side and sent a cancellation, their land would not be sold today. It would be back on the market. We'd be advertising it again. And it wouldn't be fair to them. So as a realtor, my job is to make sure that I put my feelings aside. What's most important is the end goal for either the seller or the buyer. And so in that situation, we closed yesterday. Sellers were happy. It could have potentially been an awkward closing. It absolutely was not at all. In fact, the buyer seemed to be pretty happy with this situation, even though supposedly he wanted to cancel the contract. It actually ended up, in my mind, it was great, especially for the sellers. Now, what is the buyer going to do with the land? I don't know. Maybe he's going to sell it or something. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, remember this. You want a realtor on your side who knows the law, who knows the rules, who knows all the contracts that you're signing, who knows the paperwork backward and forward, and who is great at negotiating for you, whether you're the buyer or the seller, to get it all the way to the closing table. Because there are things that happen all along the way, from the time something goes into contract to the time it closes, that could have it go south if you don't have someone on your side who is good at negotiating and who loves problem solving. Because listen, it's a problem after a problem after a problem. That's all it is. That's all it is. And personally, for me, I take it all in stride. I think it's crazy when I hear other realtors or appraisers or inspectors griping about this issue that they're having to deal with. This is how I feel about it. If I didn't have constant issues to deal with, it would mean I don't have any business. So if I have no issues to deal with, no problems to deal with, it means I have no business. Because listen, the real estate world is a series of problems that just have to be solved to get something from contract to close. Simple as that. So I love it. I absolutely love the problems. Bring them on. The more the merrier. It means business is happening, right? Y'all have a great Tuesday. Enjoy your day. And if you need anything buying or selling, I would love to talk to you. I'd love to have a conversation with you. I have lots of people right now working on their to-do list to get their places ready to hit the market. So it's going to be a busy August and September, which is great news for you if you're a buyer, because it means there's going to be plenty of things to buy, right? In Acadia Parish, at least. So remember this, as a buyer or a seller, no stupid questions. No such thing as a stupid question. Ask your question. Call me, message me, text me, whatever the case may be. I'd love to answer your questions. Listen, in my previous life, I taught 3rd grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. I taught teachers. I taught other administrators. Believe me, I've heard every question imaginable. There's no such thing as a stupid question. That's for sure. Y'all have a great day. Enjoy your week and reach out if I can help you in any way at all.